Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us on this Labor Day. We begin tonight with Trashed, the secret life of plastic recycling. ABC News, along with 9 owned stations and affiliates, spent 6 months investigating what happened to the plastic bags sent for recycling in America. What we found resulted in 2 of America's biggest retailers, Target and Walmart, being removed from a nationwide recycling directory. It's the largest investigation of its kind. And Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman has a look at a portion of Trashed, the secret life of plastic recycling.
If a lot of people really made the connection between what they put in the recycle bin, what they put in the garbage, and the fact that they're going to breathe it, we'd have folks paying a lot closer attention.
We live in a world filled with plastic, and many love its convenience. It wraps the food we eat, the packages we order, the groceries we buy. The United States produces more plastic waste than any other country on Earth. But have you thought about where it all goes? You may think those iconic 3 arrows forming a triangle mean plastic is off to a recycling plant.
We call it wish cycling, where they think that they'll get recycled.
But it turns out, it's not that simple.
A lot of people don't think of what happens. They have zero idea.
To get a better idea of just what is happening, ABC News spent the past 6 months examining how plastic bags are recycled, teaming up with 9 ABC stations in the largest investigation of its kind. It's a journey that took us coast to coast from incinerators.
I mean, it looks like a building-sized blowtorch.
To landfills.
Plastics and things like that, that's not what our facility is made for.
And to Washington, D.C.
Because I hope you understand my frustration.
Oh, I do.
Deploying dozens of trackers to see just how the plastic bag recycling system in this country is working. Hearing from people in communities who say they're forced to live with the consequences of all this waste.
That's why we fight. This thing landed on top of us, and we've been fighting it ever since.
So you think you recycle?
You smell it, you feel it, you can't breathe.
We cannot recycle our way out of the plastic pollution crisis.
It's not enough for you to put your recyclables in the recycling bin.
Come with us as we dig into America's plastic bag recycling system to get to the bottom of what's being trashed. The evidence of our global plastic problem is all around us. It's in our oceans, it's washed up on our shores, it's stacked up in our landfills where it could take hundreds of years to decompose. While plastic continues to pile up, the industry has thrived, going from producing 2 million tons of plastic worldwide in 1950 to 348 million tons in 2017. In 2020, there was more plastic in the world than the combined weight of nearly every creature on the planet. It's also big business, netting the industry $520 billion globally every year.
The plastics industry is huge. It's the fossil fuel industry and the chemical industry combined.
And production is expected to double by 2040, even as we struggle to deal with the plastic we use, with roughly half thrown out after just a single use.
This issue requires everybody coming to the table.
So what can be done with all that plastic waste? 175 member countries of the United Nations have now pledged to sign an agreement by the end of 2024 to confront what they call an epidemic of plastic pollution. There is consensus that something needs to be done, but not how to get it done.
We need an international treaty that sets strong goals to reduce the production, generation, and use of plastic.
One of the greatest challenges is what to do specifically with plastic bags.
Film goes in a variety of things. It is an essential product.
Proponents boast of their utility, but plastic in general is difficult and expensive to recycle, and bags even more so. And plastic bags are also among the top sources of plastic pollution worldwide.
Plastic film, well, a phenomenal innovation by our industry. More needs to be done to make that material not just recyclable, but more recycled.
At least 10 states have passed legislation limiting the use of plastic bags, but Americans still use 100 billion bags every year. The American Chemistry Council is a trade organization representing many industries, including plastic manufacturers. and has lobbied heavily against limits on plastic production.
Plastic helps us live better lives in countless ways. And what makes it valuable is its potential for sustainability.
In 2011, the ACC introduced the WRAP Recycling Action Program, or WRAP, as a way to help reduce plastic waste.
What happens to these bags and wraps? They can be recycled into new products, such as beautiful backyard decking, playground equipment, park benches, shopping carts, and bags.
Their website states that WRAP is a national public awareness and outreach initiative that works with retailers as well as local and state governments to encourage people to recycle plastic bags. The vice president of the ACC's plastics division, Joshua Baca, agreed to sit down with us.
We want to make it easy, simple, and convenient for consumers so that they could do the right things that they want to do, which is recycle more products.
As part of that initiative, the ACC promotes a nationwide directory of retail stores like Walmart and Target that show where you can bring used plastic bags and plastic film to be recycled. And the stores work with third parties to pick up the bags.
Our vision is pretty simple, is we view store drop-offs, whether it's Walmart or Target or your local grocery store, as the bridge to consumers.
We wanted to see how that vision is working. So ABC News, along with 9 of our affiliates and owned stations across the country, assembled bundles of recyclable plastic bags, each of them containing a metal tracking device super glued inside, then wrapped in several layers of plastic bags.
All right, we glued it down. It's nice and secure.
I got 4.
Our teams fanned out across 10 states, dropping them off at Walmart and Target stores, 2 of the country's biggest retailers, with hundreds of stores with bins labeled for plastic bag recycling.
I'm outside of a Walmart in West Hills, California.
This is the Northside Walmart here in Austin.
And I am in San Antonio, Texas. I'm going to drop these plastic bags.
Okay, here's one of the drop-offs.
After the drop-offs, we spent months monitoring each tracker's location multiple times a day.
Here's where one of those air-tagged bags ended up.
The tracker is pinging whenever a mobile phone or digital device was near. We checked every location the trackers pinged from on their journey and determined they likely did not encounter plastic bag sorting en route, one that could have potentially separated a tracker from a bag. One of the first trackers to move was one we deployed at a Target in Kingston, New York, and it showed up about a week later deep inside a New York landfill, an outcome that would happen again and again around the country. In all, we launched 46 trackers, 23 of them last pinged at landfills or trash incinerators, 7 last stopped pinging at transfer stations that don't recycle or sort plastic bags, 6 pinged at the store where they were dropped off and haven't been heard from in months. For 3 others, we can't definitively say where they ended up. And 3 trackers were shipped to the other side of the world, to Southeast Asia. One tracker dropped off at a Walmart in Kingston, New York, traveled through New Jersey and ultimately 9,500 miles across the world to Batam, Indonesia. Another tracker dropped off by our team from KAKE at a Walmart in Wichita next went to this recycling transfer station.
You got plastic bags.
We help them finding markets for these materials.
Markets on the other side of the globe. Nearly 3 months later, our tracker showed up outside Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And a third tracker dropped off by our team from WFTV at a Walmart in Ormond Beach, Florida, traveling to a transfer station in Tampa Bay, then to Port Wentworth, Georgia. We didn't hear from this tracker for nearly 2 months until it pinged near a freeway in Selangor, Malaysia. All of them places in the same region with plenty of plastic problems of their own.
It's called the plastic waste trade. It's the Wild West of exporting plastics, and it's causing real damage, particularly in Indonesia and Malaysia.
You may be wondering if any of our trackers last ping from facilities here in the U.S., which say they are involved with recycling plastic bags. The answer is only 4 did. Our investigation shedding light on the disturbing reality that the vast majority of the plastic we hope is recycled is not.
What do you make of those numbers?
I don't know all of the logistics that went on to make that a reality or not. But here's the point that I can defend. Plastic film today in particular is designed to be recyclable. Is it being recycled at a rate that is sufficient? The answer is no.
The most recent EPA data from 2018 shows less than 10% of plastic bags in the U.S. are actually recycled. Walmart and Target both declined our interview requests, as well as our request to see what happens at their stores to plastic bags they collect for recycling. In a statement, Target said that their intention is to make it easy for our guests to recycle plastic bags and that they're committed to looking at our processes to improve our recycling efforts. Walmart says they offer in-store recycling bins for plastic bags as an option for customers who may not have access to curbside recycling, and that they are pursuing initiatives to reduce the use of single-use plastic, including plastic bags. After learning about what we observed using our trackers in just hours before our investigation aired, the research company that manages the online drop-off directory promoted by WRAP told us they've removed all Walmarts and Targets from their list until they can confirm that their store drop-off film and bag material is being recycled rather than landfilled or incinerated.
Our thanks to Matt and the entire investigative team. Trash, The Secret Life of Plastic Recycling is now streaming on Hulu. The National Football League recently announced they would be taking out some $78 million in loans from minority-owned banks in this country. It was a welcome shot in the arm after this spring saw several regional bank failures, sending shockwaves through the economy as concerns surfaced over the health of our nation's financial institutions. ABC's Morgan Norwood delves into the history and importance of black-owned banks and financial institutions for minority communities.
So when you think about like the way coffee goes, you start with espresso. People like, just basic, give me that coffee shot. I always say like, if a latte is the margarita, the espresso is the tequila.
When it comes to coffee, it's a passion.
I fell in love with the way coffee brings people together.
Brewing for a while. But Dorian Bolden's journey from banker to barista?
I'm leaving my job on Wall Street. I'm moving in with my girlfriend in North Carolina. I have no job. Yeah, it freaked everybody out.
Wasn't always an easy grind.
My father was in the hospital in Atlanta and flew down to see him. Didn't realize that was gonna be the last time I saw him. So, his unexpected passing just made me realize tomorrow's not guaranteed. And I wanted to be kind of in control of my own path. And that's what I think for me was the seed of entrepreneurship.
Dorian now using espresso to express himself, opening BU Cafe in downtown Durham, North Carolina in 2009.
What was the most challenging part about bringing this to fruition, this dream?
I guess if I had to pinpoint, the hardest part, of course, is the capital.
Minority depositories, also known as black-owned banks and credit unions, were born out of that struggle to find capital. After the end of slavery, black Americans were largely shut out of American banks. So between 1865 and 1934, more black-owned banks and credit unions surfaced across the country. The Greenwood section of Tulsa, Oklahoma would become home to what is known as Black Wall Street. But in 1921, it was burned to the ground by white supremacists in a violent race massacre. But Tulsa wasn't home to the only Black Wall Street. We traveled to historic downtown Durham, where Mechanic and Farmers Bank, the second oldest minority depository in the country, is still open today.
So, Jim, it's 1908. Paint the picture for Black Wall Street. What was it like here in Durham?
It was an unbelievable ecosystem.
What's interesting is that people from all around the country, political leaders, governmental leaders, business leaders, wanted to see what was going on here in Durham on Black Wall Street.
I'm just doing an interview, but customers come first. So, yeah, you get priority, you know what I mean? So you keep us going.
With Dorian expanding his business, adding 2 new locations at Raleigh-Durham Airport, he decided to work with M&F Bank to secure funding.
I recognize how we were not able to get funding the way I saw some of my white counterparts getting funding. Recognizing the importance of having support from a black institution, it does matter.
According to a 2022 report by the Federal Reserve, black-owned businesses were about half as likely as white-owned businesses to receive all or most of the financing they requested.
When a black entrepreneur has access to capital, studies have shown that they actually outperform white businesses.
Bill Bynum is the CEO and one of the founding members of Hope Credit Union, a black-owned depository in Mississippi.
If you look at where slaveholding was concentrated prior to the Civil War, and look at that map, and then look at a map today where you have the highest concentrations of payday lenders, of check cashers, the lowest education, health outcomes, the worst housing conditions, highest unemployment, and it's an eerie resemblance. You can't buy a house. You can't support your family using payday lenders and check cashers. You just don't have the financial tools that other people take for granted to help you climb the economic ladder.
And a major key to building wealth, home ownership, a dream Debbie Jones achieved in Pearl, Mississippi.
There is nothing better than owning your own home, relaxing, enjoying your family, having family outings, and all that good stuff.
Sounds like something that you've wanted for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
That was a dream of your mom's?
Dream of my mom's and mine.
But after multiple closed doors, Debbie says she began questioning if her dream would ever become a reality after she says she was denied a home loan from a well-known mortgage company.
But that particular loan company stated that they denied me because I didn't have the income. And I knew I had the income.
Debbie ended up going to Hope Credit Union. She says their institution used the same criteria as the first mortgage company she tried, yet she was instantly approved.
I didn't understand why I was denied. And with me working in the insurance industries, I've heard and I've seen a lot of things. A lot of people have been disenfranchised or been denied certain things because of the color of your skin.
If your annual income in your household of $150,000 and you're black, you're more likely to be turned down for a mortgage loan than if you're white with a $30,000 to $40,000 income. So there are disparities, systemic discrimination in the financial system.
And while minority depositories are working to close the racial wealth gap, the recent bank failures of Silicon Valley, First Republic, and Signature Bank have raised concerns over the health of our nation's banking system. A new study suggests that almost 190 U.S. banks, including community and minority depositories, could face a similar fate if just half of their depositors took their money out.
Well, first, thank you so much for inviting me to be here today. It's such an important topic.
Nicole Elam is the president of the National Bankers Association, a trade group advocating for minority depositories.
Today, small banks have $291 billion less in deposits than they did in March at the start of the bank failures. And so while the deposit flight declined in terms of after the first couple of weeks after the bank failures, you saw a huge deposit flight. It then stabilized, but deposits is something these banks need.
We have not had a run on deposits, but we are having conversations with some of our depositors who are obviously nervous.
Most community banks like M&F Bank, we're safe, we're sound, and our business models are not risky. We're taking deposits locally and re-lending those deposits out to the communities that we serve.
But the challenges for minority depositories to build and sustain capital remain.
We are all too familiar with systemic racism and how it's impacted not just policies, but how it's impacted people's perceptions and people's psychology.
But there has been some relief. Congress is investing $12 billion into minority depositories through the Emergency Capital Investment Program. And just this month, the Economic Opportunity Coalition pulled together $1 billion in private sector funding. But experts say this is just a start.
One of the things that I would encourage the federal government to do, and even on the state and local level, is to make deposits in Black and minority banks. Black banks are safe. We can make our own deposits in those banks. So I think that that's something that they can do.
So in the same way a shot of espresso builds a cappuccino, Black-owned depositories build communities.
For us, when we say BU and our mantra is without community is just coffee, the fact that we have team members who started as a host and now they're, senior leaders in second houses they purchased, like having a salary, like being able to see people grow and develop and have a financial future, that's community.
It was a dream come true. It was wonderful. It's something, a legacy, something that I can leave my children. I'm just happy I was able to bring it to life with my kids and grandkids and my mom. Sadly, she only enjoyed the home for 5 months. I thought I was going to have my mom up until late 80s, you know. I'm sorry, y'all. But I know she's my angel now. And she's watching over me.
I know she's really proud of you.
She is. I know she is. She's looking down on me.
Hope for the future. Our thanks to Morgan for that. As Notre Dame went up in flames, millions around the world froze at the images of parts of such a beloved structure collapsing. But the efforts to rebuild it are now certainly underway. And in tonight's story, we take you inside a workshop where every piece, even every deformity, is being rebuilt. Here's Arnez de la Quintana.
It's almost like going back in time.
This is showing us the whole assembly of the truss as it will be once it's finished.
At this workshop in Normandy, France, nearly 24 carpenters are hard at work, chiseling and hammering away, working to rebuild one of the world's most famous cathedrals, Notre Dame. No power saws, no drills. Almost everything is being done by hand. In an effort to rebuild Notre Dame just as it was, they're using the same techniques the original builders used over 800 years ago.
So we're recreating identically what was there. So a few of the elements were pit sawn, so we are also pit sawing them.
Among them, 6 American carpenters with the rare skills needed for this type of work, like Will Gusikoff from Vermont, who packed up and moved to France 6 months ago.
It's certainly the honor of a lifetime. There's a certain amount of pressure and of pride in trying to do it right because this is such an important high-profile building.
It's been 4 years since the fire that shocked the world. Notre Dame de Paris engulfed in flames, that famous spire collapsing. Firefighters battled the blaze for 9 hours. It's now believed to have been started either by a short circuit or a cigarette, many fearing the cathedral would not stand.
To watch it when it was going up in flames, how much work that represented, the heritage of it, needless to say, that was really hard to see.
Today, the work to bring the cathedral back to life is taking form. Each step is deliberate, down to the custom-made tools.
So this here is one of the axes that was custom designed and forged by these blacksmiths for the project, and it's actually been stamped with the logo of the architects and the public establishment of Notre Dame.
Those axes used to chip at the wood, which was sourced from close to 1,500 oak trees across France.
Every log has a number that corresponds to a GPS coordinate, and that is being traced throughout the entire process so that every single piece of wood, we know exactly where in the forest it came from.
It's part of the process to rebuild the cathedral's nave roof using no nails, instead joining each piece to the next like a giant puzzle.
No significant French building had ever been restored this way before, using hand hewing with axes, and we're really creating a replica down to each particular timber, each particular beam. Everyone is slightly different. We're recreating deformations. It's technically an extremely complex work that we're carrying out.
Complex, but fulfilling. We were there as parts of the nave were hoisted up by a human chain on either side.
Vive Notre Dame, vive la France.
That work on display, soon to be transported to Notre Dame on these boats, just like they would have been all those years ago. Their final destination, the cathedral, that iconic building, one step closer to completion.
So many looking forward to that restoration. Our thanks to Inez for that. Still much more to get to coming up. Go inside one of the most selective bands in the country, and these talented musicians also happen to be serving our country. But next, one way Americans are helping soldiers returning from the front lines in Ukraine. I'll have that story right after the break.
wherever news breaks.
The crush of families here in Poland.
Here in Kentucky, no match for the tornado.
From Monterey Park, California, on the ground in Ukraine.
Reporting from Uvalde, Texas.
ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine. Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey.
From Charleston, South Carolina, on the 2024 campaign trail.
From Kathmandu, Nepal.
In Truckee, California, covering record snowfall.
Traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
Here at this airport in Tampa, it's already shut down.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Reporting from Jerusalem.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is. We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
Everybody in that home is okay.
To catch you up with what happened overnight. We are here at fashion's biggest night out.
What's happening today? YouTube has unveiled a new set of policies.
What people are talking about, the new ad campaign.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
A real-life Barbie dream house.
A name change for the Wienermobile.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yeah.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 2 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
You're watching America's #1 streaming news. Live reporting, breaking new exclusives. Keep streaming with ABC News Live. From America's #1 news source comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter. And it can customize to you and your interests. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience what all the buzz is about. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
Reporting from Atlanta, I'm Steve Osunsami. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
After more than a year of bombings, Ukrainians continue their valiant fight for their nation from the claws of Russia. The small military has shown the world that they are willing to sacrifice it all. Tonight, we tell you about how Americans are helping in more ways than one through the story of 2 brave Ukrainian soldiers who've already given and lost so much for their country. Thousands of miles from the battlefields of Ukraine, 2 Ukrainian soldiers board an elevator for a life-changing experience after the lives they once knew took a dramatic turn. Here at Staten Island University Hospital, 32-year-old Roman and 50-year-old Ola will get critical help, the ability to walk again. Both lost a leg from landmines while defending their homeland of Ukraine. They pull off their fatigues and put on their prosthetics. Physical therapists check their alignment.
Just looking at him, his alignment seems like he seems a little tipped this way.
Then it's time to get to work.
Wow. I mean, this is phenomenal.
Marveling at Roman's quick progress, ditching the crutch, then attempting the stairs.
Very good.
Now it's Ola's turn.
I don't want to say he's a natural, but he's a natural.
The military reservist makes several trips around the gym as Ola tries the stairs. We wanted to know what Roman thought about being so far from home.
When I saw all this, he goes, with my own 2 eyes, the envision is amazing.
That's Dr. Eugene Holuka, translating for Roman. We're told Roman lived and worked in Kyiv doing heating and ventilation when the war broke out. He volunteered to serve and was injured while performing a mission in the Zaporizhia region. His family was overcome with worry.
Of course, they were traumatized over the situation. They were calling him constantly.
We ask him if he feels like a hero.
No. I'm a regular guy. I want to go back to my normal life, like before the war. Do what I wanted to do. He wants to skate, run.
When asked if he would serve on the front lines for his country again, a powerful answer. Ola is married and has a 23-year-old son. The avid fisherman and traveler was injured during a combat mission near Davidov Broad. Despite all he's lost, his sense of humor remains intact.
He looked down and he said, "Oh, thank God it's only one."
Dmitry Shevchenko, a licensed therapist who works with the organization Kind Deeds, translates for us what was going through Ola's mind when he was injured.
Ну і, звісно, було трошки незручно, тому що підвів товаришів.
He was a little uncomfortable because he let his comrades down.
But he refuses to stay down, never even considering the notion that he wouldn't walk again.
Ну, якщо одна нога, то і звісно.
If he had one leg, then yeah.
Не буду ходити, то буду пригати.
If I couldn't walk, I would jump.
Ola and Roman are just the latest Ukrainian patients to receive help from the nonprofit Kind Deeds, a nonprofit focused on helping wounded soldiers get their lives back. In the past few months, 11 have been outfitted with prosthetics, but they have a waiting list of over 200. Ola and Roman are fortunate.
So the initial two guys were brought here on credit card points to save the money. We found a family that was willing to host them here in Staten Island for 2 months. We built a team of prostitutes, and we continue building a team of rehab professionals.
Dmitry, a physical therapist with Kind Deeds who moved here from Kyiv in his early teens, knows the reality that much more has to be done.
We don't know exact number, but we believe in thousands of amputees, and America has the best expertise in prosthetic treatment.
Well, I'm an American with Ukrainian descent. You actually see what's going on in Ukraine. There's no end in sight. It's one-sided. The war could easily end just for one person to say stop. Okay, they're waiting for him.
Roman and Ola have many weeks of rehab ahead before they can return home, but there is no dimming their spirits.
Маю право на це, тому що я вже досвідчений, я маю показувати приклад.
I don't have the right to be depressed. I'm experienced. I have to show an example to younger generations.
Tonight, they have a message for the American people.
The things that you see in the news, you're seeing the truth in the news. You know what's going on. People shouldn't be dying. I can't tell you anything more. It's emotional.
So much resilience there. Still much more to get to. She's captivating millions of fans with her genre-bending hits, but global sensation Kali Uchis tells us how her childhood has inspired her sound and what drives her success. And it's one of the most elite jobs in the Navy, the band. An inside look at why some of the best musicians in the world are using their talents for their country.
This week, legal battles heating up for former President Trump, his co-defendants set to be arraigned in Georgia. What happens next? More Americans turn to the most watched newscast on television, World News Tonight with David Muir.
Is this on? Okay, let's do it.
Ready? I'm so ready.
Let's roll. The View, all new season, is going to be so good.
So good. So exciting.
Wait, where's Whoopi?
I'm right here. We'll see everybody next season. Keep talking.
The new season of The View starts tomorrow on ABC.
From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter, and customizable to your interests. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
For 30 years, my brother's death was this mystery. Was he pushed? Did he kill himself?
There's been some human remains found at the bottom of North Head, and the body was naked.
Committing suicide naked is almost unheard of. What's going on here?
We've had some chilling evidence.
Oh my goodness, no one knew it was coming.
It's about finding justice for my brother.
Sometimes you just have to stir the pot.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
Everybody in that home is okay.
To catch you up with what happened overnight. We are here at fashion's biggest night out.
What's happening today? YouTube has unveiled a new set of policies.
What people are talking about, the new ad campaign.
Fast, straightforward,
With some fun in between.
a real-life Barbie dream house.
A name change for the Wienermobile.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning
America's #1 early morning news.
on ABC News Live.
It was the ideal marriage. Little did I know I was married to a man who had done something so horrible that it would devastate our lives forever.
Teacher of the Year is now charged with sex crimes.
Only on Hulu.
He was living a double life.
The shocking story behind a #1 true crime podcast.
Prostitutes, escorts. He even cheated on me the week of our wedding.
Betrayal, the perfect husband.
He had a lot of fantasies.
Now streaming only on Hulu.
When I got sent to Idaho to cover the murders of 4 college students, it was a story that didn't make any sense. 4 students stabbed to death in their beds while 2 roommates were home.
You gotta think to yourself, okay, who's the target and how many people would a man go through to get to his target?
I'm Kana Whitworth with ABC News. This is the story of savage murders, a determined small-town police force, and a scholar of crime. This is the King Road Killings. The full series is out now. Listen to every episode wherever you get your podcasts.
This is where the newsmakers come first in the morning to be heard. America's #1 morning show.
How would your mom feel about your relationship with your brother now?
I can't imagine what it feels like to go from $20 billion to $100,000. Yeah. Are you worried about going to jail?
You write that you had low-grade depression. How'd you get out of that?
Wherever the story, ABC's Good Morning America is right there.
Reporting from Santa Fe, New Mexico, I'm Lindsay Davis. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back. Cool vocals and a sensual stage presence. It's rising star Kali Uchis's time to shine. The Grammy Award winner is dominating the charts, and now she's dominating the stage, too. ABC contributor Roxy Diaz spent time with the American-Colombian singer-songwriter just a few hours before the first of 2 sold-out shows at Radio City Music Hall.
Entrancing, sensual, and luxurious. Grammy Award-winning Colombian-American artist Kali Uchis is captivating fans across the world, becoming a global sensation while paying homage to her Latin roots and remaining true to her artistry. With genre-bending hits like Telepatia and See You Again, Kali is breaking industry standards and is now among the many great artists to play at the legendary Radio City Music Hall in New York City with 2 sold-out shows. I had a chance to spend time with the 28-year-old to talk about her road to the top hours before her performance.
Radio City Music Hall, like, it's huge. Frank Sinatra, Mariah Carey, Lady Gaga, Diana Ross, like, your name are now amongst the people that have sold out here. Has it hit you yet?
Honestly, I had no idea, because since I'm not from New York, I didn't realize until my friends from New York were like, no, this is major, this venue is so iconic.
Carly Marina Loaiza, born in Virginia and raised between the U.S. and Pereira, Colombia. Her family constantly traveled back and forth, the songwriter absorbing the differences in culture that would soon influence her artistry.
We were supposed to stay living in Colombia the rest of my life. That was our plan, so I kind of had to relearn what it was like to live in the United States. I had to relearn a lot of, because I was so young.
Kali found solace in music, expressing herself through poetry and directing music videos.
When did you first know you wanted to do music?
I realized what I was going to pursue probably when I was like a senior in high school.
Okay.
And because that was when I really had to start thinking about whether I wanted to pursue, you know, going to college or what I wanted to do in my life. I mean, my whole life, I had been writing poems, I had been recording songs, and I was in jazz bands, I played saxophone, I played piano, so I was always a musical person.
How did that play with their family when they found out you wanted to pursue music? Like, I can just imagine, most of our Latin parents, they're like, no, you're gonna be a doctor, you're gonna be a lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, you say you're gonna do music, eso no te va a dar comida, eso no te va a pagar, you know, so like.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason why we brought family to the United States and came to the United States was in order to like get an education. My dad had a 4th grade education and he grew up in the streets, so it was really hard for him to understand why I wouldn't take advantage of, you know, being able to go to community college. So it was definitely, I think it's hard for any parent to understand that first because it's such a risky job.
Gali stayed true to herself, creating music in both English and Spanish.
I want all small artists to know that you don't need to be just in one category, one genre, one language.
And was presented with the Variety Hitmakers Crossover Award in 2021. This year marks 5 years since the release of her elusive, critically acclaimed debut album, Isolation, taking fans to her world with Tyrant and After the Storm with Tyler, the Creator. The singer released her highly anticipated 3rd studio album, Red Moon and Venus, in March. And plans to release her 2nd Spanish album later this year.
Do you really identify with a crossover artist as a label on you?
When I was first working on Sin Miedo, which was my 2nd album, but it was my first Latin album, everybody, you know, the label, they were very against it because they're like, you're not gonna be able to translate to the Latin market. But for me, like I said, growing up bilingual, I'm like, that's gonna be inauthentic for me to just keep going in English. And so they told me, they're like, we're not gonna support you at all. I was like, okay, it's fine, it doesn't matter. It's what I really, really wanna do. I'm gonna do it.
There's no denying Gali's impact with over 29 million listeners on Spotify, and her bilingual track, Telepatia, streamed over 800 million times.
The fact that you were able to open up this lane, do you feel more pressure now?
No, I still don't feel pressure. I don't think that my idea of success or my goals and my ambitions have ever been tied to numbers. My goals and the things that I wish to do are more so tied to not compromising. And I think that the person who really wins is the person that does whatever they want to do every day and really is happy.
But you do compromise with your fans, because they were in an uproar when you first started this tour and they weren't happy with the set list. You actually changed the set list for your fans.
Like, this is what they need to understand. I started the tour having no rehearsals for the tour. So I had to basically figure it out as I go along, which was always kind of what I was planning to do. So the first few shows was kind of, in a sense, like my rehearsals. So I told them, like, don't think that you bullied me into changing the set list because the set list was gonna change regardless.
Thousands lined up outside of Radio City, eager to watch the show-stopping high femme fantasy come to life. Some even breaking out in song.
Gali, I love you. Thank you for inspiring me to love my body and love me for who I am.
You guys came all the way from Minnesota here for the show?
Yeah.
How long have you been planning this?
For like a month and a half.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Gali transporting fans into her fantasy world of glamour.
You come across as such a very shy,
I am shy,
quiet, timid person, beautiful, but then you get on stage and it's like a whole nother being up there. It's like a different Gali. Is that something that you just keep yourself private?
I think there's just a lot of different sides to me. Like there's, you know,
Are you a Gemini? No, I'm just playing.
No, I'm a Cancer, but I think I feel that there are so many different dimensions that I'm able to really express myself fully when it comes to music and when it comes to performing.
You promised to stay yourself and true to that, true to your sound.
Yeah.
How do you plan on doing that?
Yeah, I think just forever, I think the most important thing, I think intention. Everyone has different intentions for why they do what they do. Some people, a lot of people might make music to become rich, to become famous. Other people, I think, really want to contribute something to the world deeper and more meaningful than that. And I would like to think that that's the type of artist that I am. and that as long as I continue to retain that intention, that my music will never be compromised.
Our thanks to Roxy for that. Still much more ahead here on Prime tonight. He's one of the most sought-after aviation photographers in the industry, and he's still in college. His story when we come back.
What does it take to be America's #1 news? It takes asking the straightforward, tough questions.
Do you believe that Donald Trump should ever be president again?
How would your mom feel about your relationship with your brother now?
I can't imagine what it feels like to go from $20 billion to $100,000.
Yeah.
Are you worried about going to jail?
You write that you had low-grade depression. How'd you get out of that?
The news-making interviews.
You said that there were 6 friends. One of them was sick.
Yeah.
Do you have future political aspirations?
Going to the front line.
The search for survivors. How does this war end?
And getting to the heart of the story.
Thank you for being here. We'll be here for the long run.
ABC News, #1 in the morning, the #1 newscast, #1 in daytime talk, Friday nights, Sunday mornings versus the competition, and the #1 streaming news. Thank you for making ABC News America's trusted, straightforward first choice.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
Everybody in that home is okay.
To catch you up with what happened overnight. We are here at fashion's biggest night out.
What's happening today? YouTube has unveiled a new set of policies.
What people are talking about. The new ad campaign.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
A real-life Barbie dream house.
A name change for the Wienermobile.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
Is this on?
Okay, let's do it.
Ready? I'm so ready. Let's roll. The View.
All new season is going to be so good.
So good. So exciting. Wait, where's Whoopi?
I'm right here. We'll see everybody next season. Keep talking.
The new season of The View starts tomorrow on ABC.
When I got sent to Idaho to cover the murders of 4 college students, it was a story that didn't make any sense. 4 students stabbed to death in their beds while 2 roommates were home.
You gotta think to yourself, okay, who's the target and how many people would a man go through to get to his target?
I'm Kana Whitworth with ABC News. This is the story of savage murders, a determined small-town police force, and a scholar of crime. This is the King Road Killings. The full series is out now. Listen to every episode wherever you get your podcasts.
Get ready to dance. Because Wednesday morning, September 13th, the new cast of Dancing with the Stars will be revealed live on GMA. Who will be dancing this season? Just wait till you see. Live only on Good Morning America.
This is ABC News Live Prime.
Thanks so much for streaming with us.
Live reporting, breaking news, exclusives, award-winning, powerful, eye-opening. ABC News Live Prime with Lindsay Davis, streaming weeknights.
When I got sent to Idaho to cover the murders of 4 college students, it was a story that didn't make any sense. This is the story of savage murders, a determined small-town police force, and a scholar of crime. I'm Kana Whitworth with ABC News. This is the King Road Killings. The full series is out now. Listen to every episode wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. From watching planes as a kid to being spotted by Delta and United for his stunning photos of their aircrafts, college student Ryan Patterson has made a name for himself in the aviation industry. Often hanging out of a helicopter, he's able to capture a unique perspective flying above airplanes seconds after takeoff. Gio Benitez has his story.
They're photos of planes taken from angles we rarely see, and they're in high demand. The photographer, Ryan Patterson, charging up to $10,000 for a single picture. But on land and in the water, the 23-year-old is a college student and a top swimmer who qualified for the Olympic trials. And he just happens to be one of the most highly sought-out aviation photographers in the industry. As a kid in the Bay Area, Ryan and his dad would go to the airport and watch the planes take off and land.
So I grew up in San Francisco, and we went to Bayfront Park
you know, a couple Sundays a month maybe, and we would watch the United 747s take off and land. And we wouldn't always even be taking pictures. We would just be there enjoying the airplanes.
Just taking it all in.
Just taking it all in, yeah, exactly. Just watching the airplanes, which is really what I loved.
Inspired by aerial photos on social media, Ryan and his dad chartered a helicopter to take photos of the planes in L.A.
We went to LAX back in 2016, summer of 2016, and we ended up doing a helicopter over LAX, and I fell in love.
That changed everything.
It changed everything for me.
The photos taken top down, capturing the attention of the airline industry.
No one had ever done this before, and I just wanted a new angle, something that looked a little bit different than the other photos that even I had took previously in the helicopter.
When Ryan was only 18, he was approached by United Airlines, asking if they could use his photos to announce the retirement of the 747.
That was a little bit of a pinch me moment since I had grown up watching these airplanes fly out of Bayfront Park. That's where I started taking photos.
His photos taking off, Ryan gaining a following on social media. But in 2020, COVID hit, with aviation coming to a standstill. But for Ryan, that was another opportunity, taking photos of empty planes lined up in storage across the country.
At the time, they were hard images to look at, really hard images to look at. But I knew they were a part of history that I wanted to be remembered. I wanted the impacts of COVID to be remembered. So we would never let something like this happen again.
His photos published around the world. When he's not on assignment, Ryan is a college student at George Washington University and a nationally ranked swimmer, competing at the Olympic trials back in 2021. Ryan graduates in June, but he's already started at Delta Airlines as a graduate intern on the airport customer service continuous improvement team.
I know I want photography in my life. I would love, my dream is to go into the business side of the airline industry.
And his message for other young people?
Is always possible. If you can put the work behind it, if you can plan it out, I think the important thing is to have a support system behind you. Chase your dreams. Never give up on them, because you never quite know where it'll take you.
Our thanks to Gio for that. And finally tonight, they are some of the best musicians in America, and they're also serving their country. So on this Labor Day, we're taking you behind the scenes with members of the U.S. Navy Band in Washington, D.C.
These cats are really good at what they do. It's magic to have such a band that's so tight that could read each other to get through these songs.
Here at the United States Navy Band in Washington, D.C., we really do hire the finest musicians from around the country. Each one of our auditions is a national audition, very much like a major symphony orchestra.
I ended up doing my undergrad degree at the University of Georgia, and then I moved to Connecticut, where I got 2 graduate degrees at the Yale School of Music. From there, I went to Chicago to join the Civic Orchestra of Chicago. After that, I came to D.C. to be part of the Navy Band.
I got into the program and I shipped off to boot camp, I think later that year. So I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. I was previously in Navy Band Great Lakes up in Chicago, Illinois, before I got to this band in Washington.
In the Navy, we have just over 600 total musicians, and here at the United States Navy Band in Washington, D.C., we have 174. We provide presidential musical support. That's the primary mission. We provide support for all engagements that would happen at the White House. We also provide all musical support for our veterans who are laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery, and that's a mission that we take very seriously. Then in addition to that, we go on national tour with each of our groups every year. So that is where we go out and we tell the Navy story and what these sailors are doing for our nation around the world.
One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go.
I remember sitting in on a rehearsal before I actually played, right after boot camp. It just gave me chills.
These positions in Washington, D.C. and the Naval Academy are very specific. Sometimes these jobs don't open up for like 20 or so years. Many musicians stay here until they retire.
It is a premier musical institution. It's a collection of some of the finest musicians that exist in the country, all in one space. We stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. And it is our duty to continue that tradition and then move that legacy forward.
Because the world has evolved, we have adjusted. We play all kinds of music: punk, pop, funk, jazz, you know, R&B, hip-hop.
All the different styles of music that you hear here at the United States Navy Band, they reflect America at large.
For me, it's gratifying as an immigrant to give back to the country that, you know, took me in.
Having done this job for 34 years, it's incredibly fulfilling to serve with something that is so meaningful to oneself. Performing music, for me, is something that is just inherent, something that I will do all my life.
The United States Navy.
But being able to perform music for a purpose that is greater than what I am is ever more meaningful.
Our national tour that we just went on, it was so fun to perform every single night for new crowds, for packed audiences. We played God Bless America at the end of every performance on this tour we did. And one venue, I can't remember exactly where it was, one person started standing up towards the beginning of the song, and then the whole audience was standing up during God Bless America. It was so emotional to see everyone being so moved by our performance. It was really cool to see the impact that we're making on the country and the people that we're playing for.
We are so grateful for their service. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Lindsay Davis. Stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.